Like I said, it was unexpected because this is a priest. So I'm thinking, okay, they're going to connect. He's probably going to give a couple of scriptures, counsel her. So to see something like that happen. And I think what I loved about it is because there was no physicality to the love and to what happened between them, because obviously he's a priest and is devout. He was devout in his priesthood. So there's a certain tenderness to their interaction because it's all very spiritual and emotional.
Stories represent possibilities. The more stories you know, the more possibilities you recognize are available to you in your life. Thanks to Akelo Digital Library, who also recognize the power of stories, we're going beyond the pages this season on the Tando Book Club. This week, I got to speak to Jo Kanengoni. She's the founding editor of Divas Inc. magazine, and she shared her book choice and why she chose it. Don't miss out. Jo, I am so excited to have you on for this week's episode of the Tando Book Club. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I know you're excited. You were dying. You were harassing me to get on the show.
Well, I don't know about that, but I'm excited. I'm excited to be here. I love books. I love reading. So this makes sense.
I know that about you.
And I love Tando Book Club as well. So yeah.
Do you love me?
Of course I love you. You know this. You know this, top of the list.
I
love you, then I love reading. Then
Now you know. The feeling is mutual.
Okay. Thank you, T.
All right. So I'm glad to sit down with you. It's been a while. And now we get to talk about a book that we both love. So, I mean, hey, I think we're okay. So let's jump in. Tell me what your book choice is and why you chose it.
All right, so my book choice is Purple Hibiscus by Chimamanda Adichie. I love Chimamanda. I love her. So any of her books really would have worked for my favorite book choice, but Purple Hibiscus has a special place in my heart. I love, it's a dark book. There's so many dark themes there of religious fanaticism, abuse, and there's Kambili, who's the main character. It's written in first person, so it's Kambili's story essentially. And I just love how she journeys through being under a father's shadow together with her brother, and how they both evolve in different ways. And that journey for me speaks. It speaks to me. The journey of Kambili and her brother Jaja speaks to me. Yeah.
I love that she wrote in first person as well. I actually thought, is this semi-autobiographical? When I first read it, it had this texture to it that made me think, no, this is real. And I remember Googling her and saying, okay, her father is also a prophet. I said, this lady.
There's something in there. And I think that's the beauty of first person. There's this personal feel to it, like you said, a texture to it that's different from when it's written in third person, because then you feel like you're really a part of a journey of someone who's real. You become a part of the story. So I really love that it's got that personal feel to it. You get an inside look into Kambili, into what she's feeling, what she's thinking. And I think it's just different. It's different and it's special.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I can see that the book is well loved.
It is.
And you said it has a special place in your heart. So you probably read it more than once, more than twice.
I don't know if I should say this out because it's actually quite embarrassing, I think. But I think I've read it at least 10 times. Okay. And I'm being modest. Okay. I think I might have actually cut down the number. I've read it a lot. Yeah. And you know, the beauty of it for me is when I read it each time, there's something that I get. There's a nuance that I get that I didn't get in the previous reads. Yeah. So there's something where I'm like, oh, wow. So this is what this meant. Or, you know, so it doesn't get old for me. Yeah. I read it every time like I'm reading it for the first time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do have a few books that I feel the same way about. I can even miss the characters and be like, I think I want to hear from so-and-so again. So, okay. So you've read it, let's say 10 plus times. It's not embarrassing because like, you know, you love the story. So I'm wondering how you connected, to the story, because this is a coming of age sort of story for Kambili.
It is.
And that's a young kind of person. And as time has passed, you know, you're at different stages of your life. So I'd like to understand, you know, maybe what theme stood out to you at first in the early times you read it versus now?
Let me see. I think when I first read it, because they're the obvious themes.
Yeah.
Like I said, they're living with a very abusive father
Yeah.
who's who justifies his abuse through religion.
Yeah.
And there's also the political unrest. So I think initially those are the themes that stood out to me. But as I read it more, I think what's really special to me about Kambili is the love story that's there. And it's an unexpected love story.
Okay.
And I think it's through this love story and her journey in meeting, it's a priest, and I think it's through meeting him and their interaction that she fully becomes. I think that's where she fully realizes her journey into becoming, and she finds her voice.
Okay.
Because for the longest time, she actually doesn't think that her voice is worth being out there. She doesn't have the confidence to speak and to laugh and to find joy in the simple things. So I think it's through her interaction with Father Amadi that she blossoms and she slowly starts to get out of her shell, because this is one person who shows her that she matters, what she thinks matters, what she says matters, and it draws her out. And it's such a beautiful story to see how she slowly starts to become and to blossom and to feel confident in who she is and what she has to offer. So I think that for me is the best part.
Okay.
Of the book.
Through like my interactions with you and knowing you, I've always found you to be someone who speaks her mind. So I'm wondering if there was ever a time when, figuring out your voice or even feeling like you had a voice, like, was that an issue for you?
Oh, it's amazing, how people look at you, because when you tell me that, I'm like, are you talking about me?
Yes.
Because I actually feel like I'm still on that journey to really confidently find my voice. And I think that's why Divas Inc. happened for me.
Yeah.
Because then in giving a voice to all the women that were featured and all the women that are on the platform, in a way, I feel like that's also elevating my voice, even though it's not the voice that's at the forefront, it's all these women. But I think that's how I found my voice. So I think maybe it's actually because I'm unsure about my own voice, and I'm more sure about the voices of all these people that we feature, which is why Divas Inc. works for me. So I'm still on that journey. I'm still on that journey.
I think that's realistic. So it sounds like you're the kind of person who you enjoy giving a platform to other people, and that sort of reinforces, I guess, your voice in a way. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it's interesting because I see you in the opposite way. Okay. So back to Kambili and the young priest. I like the fact that you brought up that it's sort of like a contrast. The book is very dark, it's oppressive. There's a lot of things going on that are just sort of hard. You can feel like the characters are trudging through, trying to make it through. And then there's this little flower that blossoms in the concrete. And I just want to know why that sort of kind of spoke to you as well.
I think it's because, like you said, the book is very bleak and it's very dark. But in that glimmer, there is hope. So it's something that speaks to all of us, hope. Because, sometimes life is hard. Like a lot of times life is hard. But it's always good to know that you can hang on to something to get you through. And I think that is what spoke to me. And I'm a romantic at heart. So every time I get a good love story, I'm always excited. So it's like, oh, okay. And like I said, it was unexpected because this is a priest. So I'm thinking, okay, they're going to connect. He's probably going to give a couple of scriptures, counsel her. So to see something like that happen. And I think what I loved about it is because there was no physicality to the love and to what happened between them, because obviously he's a priest and is devout. He was devout in his priesthood. So there's a certain tenderness to their interaction because it's all very spiritual and emotional. And I loved that. I loved the tenderness of their love story. I loved that it wasn't shrouded by too much of what an ordinary love story would be. So I liked that. It's
think that's very sweet. You're kind of talking about the lack of physicality, right? The physical, like the touching or the kissing or all that sort of thing.
There were stolen touches.
Yes.
And the chemistry was there, but and there was the excitement of falling in love and the hand on the thigh a little
First
bit,
love,
and the touching of the hair and the cornrows, but it wasn't anything extreme. Like it wasn't anything outside of PGs, but it was still very sweet and very real, and you felt the chemistry, and it was beautiful.
I think I like that pace as well. It sort of harkens back to, I think, those first loves, or when you're starting to feel like you like someone, and the pace was very, in contrast to, I think, how fast things are being portrayed today. I don't know how fast the kids are moving.
Yeah, it's scary to think about it.
So I think moments like that are sweet, and they remind us it's a bit of an innocence, like a natural flow to how people connect. And I think that, I actually never thought of that, to be honest with you. I never thought of that.
Because there are so many other themes that are so loud that you might not pick up on this one, because there's so much else that's loud in that book. So I think that's why I loved this one, because it was a quiet, gentle,
but also realistic. Because I mean, when people really connect, it's like that. It evolves very naturally, very softly, and not all the time, but you know what I mean? There's a natural element to it. It's not just sparks and chemistry and explosions. All right, that's quite lovely. Talk to me about another theme that really spoke to you from the book.
I don't know if it's another theme as per se. But I think for me, this book really is about Kambili and Jaja.
Yeah.
So for me, it's also about Jaja's journey, and how, in a way, it was different to Kambili's, because Kambili's was more gradual, and she still had a strong affection and affiliation for her dad, even as she started to realize that, you know what, this is not right. What this man that I idolize so much is doing to us is not right.
Yeah.
She still had that sense of obligation and attachment to him. So Jaja's journey was more, I think, drastic in a way. When they went to stay with the father's sister in Tsuka, I hope that's how you say it. His awakening was more, can I say, in your face?
Yeah.
And there was a defiance to him that happened immediately when he realized, no, this is not right. Yeah. So I like how both of them had an awakening, but it happened differently. So Jaja was really like, this is not right. When they went back home, he started standing up to his dad, answering back in a way that was shocking, even to his own father, because he was so used to
being in control.
Exactly. My word is bond. And then to have this young boy stand up to you and tell you why, and question, why do I have to do this? I thought that was also something very special.
I think that's interesting, because obviously the father, if we take him, he does represent a type of father. Not every father is like that. But also I think this idea of breaking away from what's expected of you, or the boundaries that have been set. And I think obviously when you grow up in a home with the family or whatever, in your little family, you kind of think things work in a certain way, and then you step outside, and then you're exposed to other realities. So in this case, you know what's right and what's wrong. Does religion give you permission to behave in certain ways? And it's very difficult, I think, when it comes to spirituality and religion, especially for us Africans, to sometimes make that distinction, to say, is this actually right? Is this true? Is this a true representation of the teaching? So yeah, I did like that aspect, and I don't know what you think about that, because I think religion plays a big part in our society.
It does. It does. And I think closely linked to that as well is how you are is different for different people, like how people see, especially with religion, because this is a man that the community respected and loved because he was so generous. He was very well off, and he was very generous to people outside of his
Yes.
nucleus.
Yes.
He would give money to beggars on the street. When they went to their village, he would be dishing out money to everyone. Everyone would come to their compound because they knew this is a man who's going to give us something.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't even give money to his own father, because to him he was a heathen, because he was a traditionalist. So his father was living in a rundown house, no money at all. He wouldn't even speak to him. He only allowed Kambili and Jaja to go and see him for 15 minutes tops.
Yeah.
If they went over the 15 minutes, all hell broke loose. So this is a man who's abusing his wife to the point of miscarrying, not once, not twice, but many times. This is a father who's beating Kambili until she gets into a coma. She actually almost dies from him beating her, because she had a picture of the grandfather, the heathen, that she had been given by a cousin. But at the same instance, this is a man who's taking more than 100 kids to school, paying their school fees. This is a man who's taking his employee's child when the employee dies, because they also have a newspaper that's speaking out against the political situation. He takes care of the wife when the husband dies, buys her a new house, takes the child to a special school because the child is not able to speak for a while. And so people, it's that juxtaposition, like, you're this person that's in the name of religion doing so much for the people around you, but in the same breath, you're not practicing what true Christianity is to the people that are closest to you.
I think that's interesting about people, because that often happens a lot, where sometimes it's almost like the image of what you've worked so hard to achieve is more important than, because family challenges you, right? It holds up a mirror to you, and it makes you look at yourself if you allow it. And if you're in denial, I think sometimes it's easier to go outside and to perform the role. And I'm sure he enjoyed taking the kids to school and doing all these good things and having people celebrate him. But to really look at the wounds, I mean, what would make him distance himself from his father like that and have such a harsh judgment on him? There's obviously a lot of unsaid things there. And I think it's an interesting portrait, again, of a type of masculinity that we're familiar with, in our African culture, which I think is obviously an excellent thing about African books, because they speak to very specific things about us, right? So when I think about my grandfather and what he went through under colonial times and the person he became and how that might have impacted my father and so on, there's a big gap there. I mean, there's a lot of trauma that shapes that sort of masculinity. So I think it's interesting, yeah. And who knows what was in the mind of this father. But I think another interesting thing is his take on his father being a heathen is also some sort of commentary, I think, on his part on tradition, right? Because the religion comes from a Western perspective, in a sense, and it arrives however it arrives for us. And then we've got this tradition and it's interrupted and there's a clash. And I think she brings that out in the book.
She does.
And we're still kind of grappling with it right now. Yeah.
We are. Yeah, that's true, because I remember there's a time with Kambili, all her references to God and to Christianity, they are very westernized, because that's what she understands. And Chimamanda really makes it clear that this is the version of Christianity that Kambili has, God being a white God with blonde hair. That's how she visualizes him, with blue eyes, like Father Benedict, who's the priest at their church. Mary being this white woman. And then there's the cousin from Tsuka, Amaka, who's got a very different perception. She's still Christian, but her Mary and her Jesus are brown-skinned. She is supposed to get confirmed, and one of the requirements is that you need to pick an English name. Like, in addition to your native name, you need to have an English name. And she refuses flat out. She says, if it means not getting baptized, I'm not getting baptized. Our native names are just as beautiful as the English names that these people who came imposed on us, because they felt our names were not good enough. So there's that theme in the book as well. You're so right, where there's this comparison between what is fed to us on what Christianity is, what religion is, and what we can actually make it for ourselves as African people. Like, do we really need to take it as it came to us? Or we need to question and to find a way that it speaks to us and it doesn't take away from who we are as African, and still celebrate it and still celebrate the Christianity.
But how do you it's okay, it's come packaged already, right? This is Christianity, this is what it prescribes. How do you question that it came from another culture? What do you mean by saying that you can have it and still celebrate being African? What do you mean?
I think it's about finding a God that makes sense to you.
Okay.
Because God is God. I don't think God needs to be blonde-haired, blue-eyed. It's not something that's familiar to me as an African, but I believe is there. I believe there's a higher power. And I think that's why even there's a time when Kambili is staying with the aunt, the father's sister, and Papa Nuku, who's the grandfather, who's a heathen, according to the dad, comes to stay. And Kambili questions the aunt about, why am I sharing a room with a heathen or something? Because this is the doctrine that her father has been indoctrinating to her. And then the aunt wakes her up one day when the grandfather is praying. She says, come and see him pray. And she hears the prayers. And it's really about God bless my family, God bless my grandkids, a God who might be different from the God that Kambili thought she knew. And she's surprised that he even prays for his son. He says, God bless my son, Eugene. And this is something the father would never do. Every time the father prayed for the grandfather, it was just, please help him see the lights.
Yeah.
That was just it, nothing else.
Save this man.
Save him before he dies. So I think that for me is it. Like we have something that we've always had as Africans that we can still hold dear, even as we are Christian. I'm Christian. So it's not about getting rid of Christianity in its totality, but I think it's about understanding that Christianity and who we are as Africans works together. Yeah.
That's interesting. There's a whole family structure and dynamic that I think is interesting when you've got such a dominant male and how they oppress the other voices around them, and looking at, I think, the mother as well, and how she was just sort of in this corner and quieted. And it's interesting to see that, because I think it still sort of goes on, but we're living in these times right now where, there's so much of a platform for women, including the one that you've created. So yeah, I think a theme for me that I associate with you is having a voice and finding a way to use that voice. So how did you see the mom in the book? We can start there. Yeah.
Okay. First glance, I think she's hers is a very sad story, I think, because you don't even really get to know who she was before she met this man, because the only time you really get to know who she is as a wife to this very domineering man. And that's really what defines her. And I know, and Kambili always stresses how her mother didn't say a lot. She didn't speak. She didn't speak. Like she would say, I think, 3-4 sentences, and she would always stress, this is the most that my mother ever spoke.
Ever said.
She was so quiet. She was just a shell of whoever it is. And I think it's sad, because I think underneath all of that, there was someone who had so much potential to be more and to do more. But she doesn't even get to live out a fraction of what she could be because of this man that she's living with, and the abuse that she suffers at the hands of this man. And what's interesting to me is it's at the hands of his wife that he dies. She poisons him. So I think it speaks to when you don't find your voice and you endure so much, there's only so much that you can take. And it's unfortunate that this is where it led to. But I think it's because she had endured too much for any one person to endure. So it's a sad story for me.
Yeah.
It's a sad story for me, and it's an unfortunate one. And towards the end, when Jaja, because Jaja is the one who takes the fall for killing his dad, even though it's her that did it.
Yeah.
And towards the end, right at the end of the book, there's a driver who takes them to see Jaja. And then Kambili mentions how you could tell, like, he was very affectionate to the mom, and you could tell he wanted to draw her out so that she could become the person that she was supposed to be. So there's hope for me. I hope for her. If there was a sequel to this book, I would hope to find her in a place where she's finally free of the chains that had bound her throughout her marriage because of this man and what this man had put her through. And I just hope, I hope that for any woman who's going through what she went through, that she finds the voice finally and she leaves out to be the person, because you see it happening for Jaja and Kambili, and you also I wish it would happen for her as well.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think what's so tragic is that you have these young girls and you think the information is there. There are, I think, support groups. There's something in place there to let you know that you don't have to go through this. But I think the way people are conditioned and brought up. So, I mean, no matter what my cousin says to this young girl, and she's in her 20s, and this guy is in his 20s, she will not leave. And from what I hear, she's intelligent, she's sweet, she's hardworking, she's all of these things. And he can kick her out of the place, he can leave her on the side of the road, he can put his hands on, he can do whatever he wants to do, and she will not leave. Yeah. So I think that that's the tragedy of a character like this, is that it still exists.
You're so right. And when you speak of, it doesn't matter what you tell them, if they are not ready to leave, then they're not going to leave. Because with Kambili's mom, there's a time when Jaja and Kambili are with the aunt in Tsuka. Eugene, the husband, Kambili's dad, beats her until she miscarries.
Yeah.
And then she goes to the Tete's place, Tete, where Jaja and Kambili are. And Tete is like, Auntie Eufoma is like, you need to leave.
Yeah.
You can't put up with this any longer. What is it going to take for you to leave? The next thing, she calls Eugene. He says, I'm coming to pick you up in the morning. And she says, we're going back to him. And it's such a, because there is a glimmer of, you can actually get out of this. If you manage to leave him and come to Nsuka, you can leave and go somewhere, anywhere else. But she is so under his, I don't know what it is, control, that she still chooses, in spite of everything, to go back to him. And I think what actually now pushed her to ultimately kill him wasn't even for her. I think she did it for the kids. I think she was okay enduring and putting up with it for as long as she had to. But when it got to a point where the children are the ones who are getting the worst of it, I think that's what finally caused the switch in her head to say, you know what, enough is enough. And unfortunately for the situation, enough is enough for her was killing him. I think that's the only way she could see an escape to him. She couldn't see them just leaving him, her and the kids packing up and going. She felt the only way we can actually be rid of this man and not be under his spell anymore is if he's gone.
But it also makes me question the nature of power and how much power we give to other people. So this man is not God.
No, he isn't.
Or in these circumstances, but it's almost like something in the individual says, what I'm getting out of this is more than what I'm not. So the mom is prepared to endure the abuse and everything that she can, because I suppose maybe there's shelter, there's stability to the outside world, there's prestige. She's the wife of, this man in society. Maybe that's sort of enough until the lives of her children are at stake, and then that now supersedes. Because, as human beings, I think if some of our basic needs are met in different relationships, we stay, even though they could be better. Shelter, attachment, just various things. And apparently if we get all of those things, I've forgotten what the different list is. I think Tony Robbins talks about it. If we meet all of those basic needs, and we get if there's 6 and we meet 3 or 4,
then
we're not going anywhere.
we're happy.
The house is on fire, but we are not going anywhere.
But I don't know, hey, if that's why she stayed, because it didn't even seem like she was enjoying those luxuries that he was providing for her. I think at some point she just resigned herself to her fate, which is something that happens to a lot of us.
Yeah.
You just sit in it because you don't even have the energy to visualize anything else
Something
for
else.
yourself. Yeah, so I don't think it's because she really enjoyed being in that plush house and having all the food that was available to her. I think if she had a choice and she had less of that, she would have picked it without even questioning. But I think mentally she was just beyond imagining and wanting that for herself. She was just resigned to it, which is why I think the children is what finally caused it, because she realized it doesn't have to be the same for them.
Yeah.
They can have different. They don't have to suffer the same fate that I've accepted for myself.
Yeah.
Which is also why I think with the youngsters, with Kambili and Jaja, especially with Jaja, I think he realized something in his head clicked to say, this is not the life that I want for myself. I don't have to put up with this.
Yeah.
Which is something his mom, unfortunately, couldn't do for herself.
So, yeah. I guess for her, she realized that there's more to everything she enjoyed. Was it not also for her children? And if the children are in danger, then what is the point?
So why am I enduring it if it's not even for them? So why am I putting up with it? Yeah.
Yeah. I like what you said about sometimes just resigning oneself to a fate. Because I think we all get to those moments and just think, okay, this is all that's going to happen to me. An old dream is shelved. Something you desired before and you're like, okay, it's not plausible, it's not going to work. So I like that you said that. But I wanted to know what also drives you to have this platform, Divas Inc., and to want to tell these women's stories. Why is that so important to you?
Because our stories matter, T. You know? The Zimbabwean woman story matters. I remember I started off my career in South Africa. I was working for a publication there and would feature all these women who were doing so much. And I was thinking to myself, why do we not have as many voices of Zimbabwean women who are, I'm sure they're there. I'm sure there are women who are doing just as amazingly well, if not better than these women that we're featuring. Who is giving them a platform to share their story? I think representation matters.
Yeah.
The young Zimbabwean girl is going to get something from our stories that she's not going to get from Viola Davis or from Michelle Obama. So we need to share those stories. It's not just about the women themselves. It's about the thousands and millions who are reading, who are listening, who get like front row seats to that story, and it inspires them in a way and shapes their own story. So I think it's important. We need to tell our stories. Representation matters. And it's only through telling our stories that the young girls, other women can see the possibilities. You can't imagine what you don't see.
Yeah.
You can't dream beyond what you deem possible for you. So for a young girl, dreaming about owning her own company is not something that she's going to do when she doesn't know that it's actually possible.
Yeah.
There's a woman who's doing it. So I think those stories are important as a blueprint for the thousands and millions of young girls and young women who need those stories to shape their own destinies.
Okay, and on that note of stories shaping the destinies, we're going to get into our next segment where I ask you some questions. They're just simple questions, nothing too hectic, and you tell me the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
Okay, Joe. So welcome to the rapid question segment.
Ooh, I'm terrified.
I can see you like gripping the chair. Don't worry. Okay. Simple questions. Hardback versus paperback.
Hardback.
Why?
I don't know. I think for me, as long as it's a solid copy, really, it works for me.
Oh,
So this is really, so either really, as long as it's a physical copy. What I wouldn't choose is Kindle. Like if you'd ask me hard copy over Kindle, definitely hard copy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Which character from a book would you like to befriend and why?
Let me see. There's this Helen from a book called Scenes by Judith Gold.
Okay.
She was this media mogul, and I think it was my introduction into that world of publishing and just being kick-ass in that space. So yeah, definitely her.
When was it set?
When was it? I read this book when I was in high school. So I think it was probably from like the 80s or 90s.
Right. I was going to say, there's a book I read as well, and then they were describing the shoulder pads and then the briefcase and then taking over New York or something crazy.
And it's like, yes.
Yeah. This is real. This is possible. Okay. What's your favorite type of book to read in the morning?
I don't know. I don't know if I have a favorite type. Whatever book I'm into, I'm going to be reading it first thing in the morning. So it's not a specific book. Whichever book I'm into in that time, then yeah.
Okay. If you had to recommend a book to someone when they're feeling down, what would it be?
I think I would say I'm realizing now I like sad stories, because the two books that are coming top of mind for me right now are The Color Purple.
Oh.
But I don't know if it's a pick-me-up. Would you recommend it to someone who's feeling down and you want them to?
Okay. Would you read it if you're feeling down?
I would.
Okay.
I would. I think I like stories with hope. Like I like stories where things look bleak, but there's a glimmer of hope that the person hangs on to and it gets them somewhere, which is what happens with The Color Purple.
Yeah.
And Jane Eyre as well. I love that book. But it's also another one where it's not exactly all flowers and, butterflies and roses, but there's something there about just the glimmer of hope and hanging on to it until you get to the end.
Okay. So I think what I'm getting from this is that you're more of a realist, and you because life is like up and down, twists and turns. But knowing that there's, something to look forward to, I think that resonates with you. Okay. All right. What's the first book you remember reading?
I think it was Baboon Wants a Wife and Other Stories. When I was 6, my dad bought it for me. I know. My dad bought it for me, and I think that's why it was extra special for me, because it connected me to my dad in that way. So definitely Baboon Wants a Wife. That's my first memory of and Giant Alexander as well.
Okay,
is up there. Yeah.
Okay, I like that. If you had to escape outside of the country to write a book, where would you go, and why?
I think one of these European islands.
Okay.
Like Nice or Cannes, somewhere where it's idyllic. There's the water, there's the sea, but it's nice and quiet. No distractions. When I want to disengage, I can just listen to the waves and go to like a nice fancy little restaurant on the mountain somewhere. So definitely one of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. Pick a book you wish you had written.
Oof. I think Jane Eyre. I really love it. Probably.
Okay, that's interesting. I think your book choice actually says something about you. Like,
what does
not
it
you
say?
in particular.
I was going to say, what does it say about me?
What people? You've already explained.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're a realist. Okay, all right. Let's wrap it up with name a book that surprised you in some way.
Oof.
Every time you say, oof, I'm going to laugh.
You know what? No, because you know what? Books don't surprise me, is what I'll tell you. Okay. And this is why. Because every time I start a book, I'm very open to where it takes me.
Okay.
I never have any preconceived, like even after reading a couple of pages, I never start to think I know where the story is going to take me. I'm always open to where it takes me. So I like to be immersed in the process and to where the journey takes me. So it never surprises me.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a fair answer. That's a correct answer too. There's no wrong answers. I think because I'm a plot detective, I'm like, okay, I bet you we're not. Oh, It didn't, and then I'm like, wow. So okay, no, it's fine. All right. So let's move into your favorite quote from the book,
Okay.
or just one of them. Obviously, there could be lots.
Okay.
In which you're gonna read a quote from the book,
All
and then you
right.
just say why you picked that one.
All right.
Yeah.
I think there's two of them. The first one is, it's not a quote, it's like a little mini paragraph. Let me just read it out. Nzuka started it all. Auntie Forma's little garden next to the veranda of her flat in Nzuka began to lift the silence. Jaja's defiance seemed to me like Auntie Forma's experimental purple hibiscus, rare, fragrant, with the undertones of freedom, a different kind of freedom from the one the crowds waving green leaves chanted at Government Square after the coup, a freedom to be, to do. That for me, because this is when they came back, and this is when Jaja started speaking out against his dad. And I think this description of what that defiance, what that speaking up felt like a freedom, like a release of something that had been holding them captive for a long time. And, when I read about Jaja's defiance, I also think about the power of words. Because when they were in Nzuka, and Jaja's little cousin was asking him, how did you get the name Jaja? The aunt explains that, he used to say Jaja a lot. It's not actually his name, but he used to say it a lot until everyone just said, why don't we just call him Jaja?
Yeah.
And she actually said, I liked that name for you because it reminded me of an African king who, during the time that the white people started coming in, he refused to be bought. He was very defiant. He said, you're not going to buy me with your gunpowder. I'm going to stand firm in saying no.
Yeah.
So that resonated with him, because what the word she actually used was defiance.
Yes.
And here, Kambili described it as Jaja's defiance. So I think that stuck with him. Like, this is what my name means. So he took that, he owned it, and he was able to now be it, because it's something that had been spoken to him by his aunt to say, you are a defiant king. That's what you remind me of. And he took that with him back home, and he was like, I'm not going to put up with this anymore. And this is how we get to Jaja's defiance. So that speaks to me. Yeah.
Okay. So what's a moment in your life where you were defiant like that?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think for me is starting out on this whole journey with being in media and publishing, because I actually studied agricultural economics in university, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah. And I was actually pretty good at it. And my dad is a farmer, so I was very excited about having an agricultural economist in the family, someone to help manage things at the farm. But I thought to myself, this is not me. This is not what I want for myself. And
so that clicked while you were studying?
Whilst I was in university.
Okay.
Yes, whilst I was in it, I'm thinking, but this is not what I want for myself.
Yeah.
I'm a writer. I'm passionate about that. I'm passionate about women. And that's what I want to do for myself and for my life. So what I started doing, even before I'd finished the degrees, I started applying to all the South African publications.
Wow.
To say I have no background in media, but I'm passionate about it. And I believe that I can bring something to the table that's going to be fresh and different.
Yeah.
And eventually someone
gave you a chance.
Took a chance on me. Yeah, but it was after waitressing in Pretoria for about 6 months, because I didn't have a job, but I thought, let me do this.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do. My dad was not happy. My family was not happy. But I felt this is something that I need to do for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that about you.
I know.
That's pretty powerful, because while you were doing it, you were actually setting yourself on a different course. For me, my experience was different. I didn't even know myself enough to recognize anything. I was just lost, and I knew I had to finish this law degree because my mom is paying, and no matter what, she must get this degree.
She needs that degree in my hand.
So for you to recognize that while you're in it, and then to actually make plans to steer your life in the direction you believed you're going, I think that's amazing.
Scary.
Yeah.
Scary though when you're doing it, because you keep questioning, is this the right choice? Is this the right choice? When there's no response, you're now jobless, you're now, and but it was worth it in the end. So yeah, yes to defiance.
Yeah. All right. Share another quote, please.
All right. The other quote is from Kambili has just spent the day with Father Amadi. And then, he's about to leave, so she's laughing at something that he says. And then it goes, I laughed. I laughed because the alamanda flowers were so yellow. I loved imagining how bitter their white juices would taste if Father Amadi had really sucked them. I laughed because Father Amadi's eyes were so brown, I could see my reflection in them. Right?
Yes. Tell us, the romantic in you, tell us why this quote.
Well, obviously there's the romantic aspect, but more than that for me, I think it's how she's so freely describing herself laughing. Because for the longest time, this girl did not know how to laugh.
Yeah.
So for her to describe herself laughing, and not just for one reason, but to find so many reasons why it's okay to laugh, that spoke to me. Because this is a child who grew up in a house where there was no laughter, there was no joy. And then now she's laughing so freely, and she's not even interrogating too much on why she's laughing, because there are so many things to pick from on why she can laugh, and it's okay to laugh. So it just, I think it's beautiful.
It sounds like she's almost the flower she's describing, right?
Yes.
Like she's blossoming, and
Yes.
she's realizing the environment around her. Yeah. I think that was really lovely. That's a beautiful quote. And I think on that note, thank you, Jo, for taking the time to talk about your beloved book.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and
thank you for having
us.
me. You know, it's so hard to try and take out what a book means to you and put it in words. So I hope there's something in there in our conversation that speaks to people and they want to read the Purple Hibiscus. And I'm sure everyone who reads it is going to get something different from it, which is the beauty of reading.
Yeah.
Because our experiences, even though it's the same book, are going to be different. What speaks to you, what resonates, what makes you want to pick it up again and read it again for like the 9th, 10th plus time is different for everyone. So I just hope someone finds beauty in it if they decide to go and find it and read it for themselves.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jo. This season on the Tando Book Club, we're going beyond the pages. Thanks to Akello Digital Library, we get to have these amazing conversations around stories that mean something to us. Make sure you tune in to next week's episode.